Alright, what we're gonna do is go back. Way back. Well, kinda. We'll start with Buxom and Mogg. Together they had 9 children, 6 girls followed by 3 boys. They named their youngest daughter Maggie. She married Fred. They had 2 sons and 1 daughter. I am the oldest of them. I'm Kendrick.
The middle boy, they named Herbert. Well, his name is Aubrey, but we'll get into that later. He married Deborah, and they had 3 girls. I am the oldest of them. I'm Tawana.
The third oldest was a girl they named Sadie. She married a man named Roosevelt, and they would have 3 kids together, the oldest of which was Darryl. He met and married Antoinette, and they too would have 3 kids together. And with their oldest, they gave Buxom and Mogg their very first great-grandchild. That was me, Martine.
The oldest of them all, and bossy second mama to many, was a girl named Blossom. She married Jean, and the 2 of them had 7 children together. The tallest of them was Jerome. He married Juanita and had 2 sons. The oldest of them was me, Junie. So, y'all catch all that? Anyway.
Hey, cousin!
Hello, and welcome back to what looks like the last episode of Hey Cousin for Season 2, y'all. So we have a slew of guests on, and before we get into everything, we want to thank all y'all for coming on. We got Randall, we got Tamra, we got Tara, we got Janelyn, we got Ashley, and we just want to thank y'all for coming on and having a little chat with us. Today's chat, which is not led by a letter, is actually about siblings, right? And just family in general, right? So what we want to talk about is the unique perspective from each one of you, because each of y'all have a sibling on this call right now. So we want to hear from y'all, whether it's the oldest to the middle to the youngest, on how being raised in your particular brand of household was from your perspective. Like, did your parents kind of approach things differently from one kid to the next? Like, did you look at that approach and was like, hold on now, like, I ain't get this, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. And just want to hear a little bit of y'all's perspective so that we can probably help someone who is, you know, new to raising multiple children or just thinking ahead and trying to see what that looked like. So anything is on the books, and we just want to hear a little bit from y'all. So to start up, if y'all resident cousins can introduce your siblings on this call, and I can be the resident sibling for Janelyn and Randall because we grew up like siblings. So I will start off actually. So we got Randall, who you guys have seen before, and actually we've seen Janelyn before on this show, and those 2 are my first cousins. They also have another brother, Charlito, who was unable to make this call today, but Janelyn is the oldest and Randall is the youngest, and we grew up in Jersey, and we were always at each other's houses, and always, like, I was kind of like the big brother, I guess, because I was always getting the comparisons, like, hey, what's going on? Why y'all ain't doing what Junie doing? You know what I'm saying? So I held down that oldest sibling role. But Janelyn, you were the true oldest, so I definitely want to hear your perspective in later on in the conversation. But I will go ahead and throw it off to whoever wants to jump in next.
I'll go since it's only me and Ashley. Well, technically it's 4 of us. I'm the second oldest. Ashley is the third, and then we have a youngest, Ashaya. So welcome, Ashley.
Hi.
Ashley.
Hey y'all. I'm sorry. Hey y'all. I'm still trying to get dressed.
Let me tell you, I'm just happy that you got them as your siblings, because this one was my sibling.
Y'all,
A mess.
this is being recorded so that everyone will actually know what we went through.
Mess. I see it. I see it.
Patrick can speak to it, but no one else can.
Yeah, I see it now.
And then try to run around so he curl can bounce up.
I
Tamara and Tara are my baby sisters, and I'm sure they have a lot to say about me. All good things, all good things, all good things. But Tara, I'm the oldest. Tamara's the second oldest, and Tara's the third oldest. We're 2 years apart.
Wait, each one of y'all are 2 years between each of y'all?
Is Tawana and I are 2 years and 2 weeks. Tara and I are a year and 10 months apart.
Oh wow.
You would know that.
Oh, wow, that's funny. All right, well, my siblings are traveling and working, so shout out to Kendra and Kelvin Snipe. Well, we're actually 5 years apart, like literally 5 years apart each. I'm the oldest. Kendra is 5 years younger than I am, and Kelvin is 10 years younger than I am. So we'll have them on the show eventually. But yeah, I'm excited about the conversation.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start off with Janelyn and Randall. Like, I want y'all to kind of share. Actually, Janelyn, I want to hear from you when you found out that you was about to have another sibling. Do you remember any of that? Like, do you recall that experience? What was that about?
Oh, so like we're really close in age. Me and Charlita are only a year apart, and me and Randall are 3 years apart. So I was just like a baby, basically. I didn't know. We just all grew up together. And yeah, I'm the oldest. And I did look up to Junie, and then my other cousin on the Spanish side, Joanna. She's around your age as well, Junie. So I call her, she's like my big sister to me. So I call her my sister. And I correlate to them. But growing up as the oldest, definitely a lot of responsibility. My dad put a lot of responsibility on me. And then I'm the only girl as well. And so I have 2 brothers and I have a half brother as well. So I'm the only girl. So my dad put a lot of responsibility on me growing up. And as I'm an adult now, I definitely saw the differences in how he treated me and how he treated my brothers. And then Charlito, he kind of has middle child syndrome, we call it. So if he was here, he would definitely maybe defend himself a little bit more, but I guess I won't talk about it. It's a touchy subject.
We can talk about it. I'm the middle child on the call, and I'll be there to be able to defend the middle children, okay?
I was just about to say, do the middle kids really feel like that's because Ashley's the middle kid too? Do y'all really feel like that's a syndrome? Like y'all and this middle kid syndrome is the baby of the family, and it's the oldest. Personality types, you can see the differences. Do y'all really feel it's true?
Yeah, I do. Like, I definitely feel since my dad relayed a lot of my parents relayed a lot of responsibility on me. Like, you definitely see I'm more the mature, responsible. I like everything in order. Meanwhile,
I'm responsible.
Yeah, Randall's responsible too. And then like Charlito is more of a wild card. And then Randall is a little bit of a mix of both of us since he grew up with me being the oldest and then following Charlito and his steps as well. So Randall's a little bit a mix of both. But I
feel like Randall had to grow into his responsibility though. It didn't start out that way.
Oh no. Yeah, I'll say Randall definitely looked up to Charlito a lot. Like, they definitely spent a lot of time together, and he definitely looked up to Charlito growing up. Just like, and while I didn't have a sister or anything like that, so I couldn't really relate to my brothers. Like, they were always together, and since I was the oldest, I was just like doing my own thing, basically.
Yeah, it was definitely harder for you being the oldest opposed to me being the youngest. At the same time, I mean, like, you weren't allowed to do anything. And then it got trickled down to you not being allowed to do anything. And then Shalito had a little bit of leeway, but, he messed his leeway up because he always got in trouble. And by the time it came down to me, it was either, all right, well, don't kill yourself or don't get in trouble. So, and
but
so
just don't die.
Yeah, just don't die. Like, by the time anything came down to me, it was just like, you know what, just don't die. Just don't get the cops involved and just come home. And it was more so the youngest always have it easy because they don't have all the responsibilities of like the oldest child or the middle child. But at the same time, I felt like most of the time they didn't really care what I was doing. So I was pretty much, since probably the moment I got into high school, I wouldn't say I was raising myself, but like I didn't feel as though unless I was really getting in trouble, my parents weren't around to like really care what's going on. It's like, all right, just you got it. Go handle yourself. Go handle your business, or
Yep.
talk to my brother or sister. Knowing damn
Yep.
well that we like us didn't really talk to like ourselves like that growing up. We were pretty as close as we are in age. I'm pretty sure you guys know that's not always a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I want to definitely touch on that responsibility piece. My brother is not on the call. My brother has special needs. He has autism, and he is 5 years my junior. But growing up, the responsibility was the name of the game. Especially, I think, in our family, we come from a very responsible group of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's a few outliers here and there that's like a little off the beaten path, but like we had to be in order all the time, right? And so I grew up with like just a lot of responsibility caring for my younger brother. Like I just was not able to be involved in like any sporting events, any after school programs, because it's like, yo, both my parents are working, gotta get home, gotta get my brother off the bus before before they get back home, and then I gotta watch over him before they get back home for the evening. So it has its own hurdle of things. I know that there is a lot of older siblings on the call. For me, I found myself really frustrated. Like right before I graduated, I was like, yo, I don't even got no childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm caring for this other individual for most of my days ever since he got here. You know what I'm saying? And so I like it's honestly a small place of contention even today that I still kind of deal with. Like just looking back on like, dang, like that wasn't really fair, bro. Like that was not something that should have been placed on me so early and for so long, you know? So I just wanted to touch on that responsibility piece. I'll be popping in and out, you know, with things that I got through my experience as the oldest, but I definitely wanted to add that piece to that.
I can definitely relate to that, Junie, because so Ashley and I are 10 years apart, and then me and Ashaya are 11 years apart. So of course you play that role of you got to pick them up, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. And it's like they, you know, they're young, they don't care, just pick them up, it is what it is. But for you, it's like I got things going on, I got friends, I got to pick and then two of them at the same time was a mess, and getting on the train with them was a mess.
Woo.
So that responsibility was really, really intense. It was really intense, but it became your norm because it became something that you just had to do. And I think later on, as I became an adult, I realized how much it took away from me developing, you know, so I can definitely relate to that. Ashley, do you remember that?
Yeah. So for me personally, because of that, I think I run to you more often because I look at you more like a parent than a sister.
Exactly. Which is what we're saying, like the roles with siblings, that's like her and Ashley would contact me and my parents is right there. And I remember them coming in a room, Martine, can you give me some, your parents in the room. So it's like, you know, but it's like you don't mind and you continue to do it. You continue to do it. I remember having my first job and splurging on them like they were my kids. It was just so crazy. Like, oh, I need to get them the Jordans and they need to get this and they taking pictures, they young, they don't even know what they got. It was just so crazy, but it's like that becomes your norm and you don't really realize until you get older.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the oldest on this whole damn call, actually. Even that, just having a bunch of little cousins before, well, actually, no, because I was 5 when Kendra got here. And the funny thing is, I prayed for, like, a sibling. And when she got here, I was like, oh, you know what? Can we send this one back? So one of the things was, like everyone's saying, is that responsibility is like, okay, well, now I got to share my toys. Now, you know, before I do something, hey, take your sister with you. It was Kendra, then Kelvin came along. But Kelvin and I are still far apart in age. by the time Kelvin came along, I was in high school, so I had already kind of established my friendship group and stuff like that. And it's funny that you said that earlier, Martine. Like when Kelvin came along, I was already working and stuff, so I was buying him Jordans and clothes and stuff. Like taking, like you said, taking pictures. Like, hey, it's like my surrogate child, basically. My dad always kind of really pushed us to be close because him and his siblings aren't really that close. So we would have some infighting, but we would infight with each other, but you couldn't penetrate that circle. So if anybody else was trying to mess with somebody, then we got a problem.
I think we all could relate to that. Like we could fight each other. Y'all better.
Yeah. You can't break the circle.
Exactly.
Don't talk about my sister or brother in front of me. Don't do anything in front of me, or not in front of me, because I'm gonna find you. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Which is, it kind of like really sets a good boundary for you as a parent now. The things I learned from actually having younger siblings and younger cousins kind of prepared me for when Caden got here. I was like, okay, well, I kind of know the ins and outs of dealing with the kid, from changing Pampers all the way up to helping them learn how to read and potty train and stuff like that. Because I kind of was really a part of all that for my younger siblings as well.
Now, I want to ask a question to the older cousins than me. Y'all might have a better understanding, but so from what I know now, Booksum and Mog's kids were all pretty close also growing up too. And my grandmother, Blossom, was the oldest. And so she kind of took on that mothering role to some of her younger siblings as well. Do you guys think that maybe this is something that's been passed down from generation to generation? Is that why we still participate in this closeness? Is that why we participate in the responsibility?
Before we answer that question, I just want to say the dynamics were different for us because my mom took care of us. She didn't really work. So it wasn't like, oh, Tawana, go watch your sisters. Because remember, I was only 2 years older than Tamara and 4 years older than Tara. Now, when she did give us responsibility, I may have abused it a little bit.
Oh, yeah. With everybody. Just bossy. Ugh. Who are you?
I want to hear from Tamara and Tara.
So,
okay, I'll
that my mom did everything. We just could be kids for the most part, so we didn't have that responsibility. When the responsibility came in, is okay, you got dishes, you got a bathroom, you have to vacuum or something like that. And Tawana would totally blackmail you to be able, you have to do her chores. She would be like, oh, you said a curse word and now you got to do my chores for 2 weeks. She was a tyrant, y'all.
Extortion.
She's going to lie to everyone and say that she didn't do this, but I can tell y'all that Tawana was a tyrant, and she was the worst big sister, except unless we get into fights, and then everybody would, we would fight together. But Tawana was horrible.
Tara, is that true?
I wouldn't give her horrible, but I will say she definitely abused her oldest sibling responsibilities. Tamara is the middle child. We touched on the middle child, so I guess Tamara gonna say I got a little special treatment from Tawana sometimes because Tawana would go a little easier on me than she would Tamara sometimes. And Tamara probably would say Tawana and I would click up and leave her alone. So I'm literally the neutral. I'm always neutral. I'm the neutral ground. I'm the person in the middle, even though I'm the baby. But I can chime to what Tawana and Tamara said. I will be, and I'm thankful. Just listening to my own cousins, my parents really did let us be kids. They did not make Tawana be solely responsible for us. Now, once she got into high school, I would say she kind of took on the role a little bit more of she could, when she started driving and she would take us places. And it wasn't necessarily what my parents was like, oh, you gonna take your sisters. I can truly say I felt like Tawana was like, y'all can come. You know what I'm saying? Just to be like, I got my sisters with me. Even though, what I'm saying, she was the big sisters. She really did enjoy being a big sister. And she didn't mind taking us around and being with her. But yes, as the kid said, we fought like cats and dogs. And my mama used to always say that, y'all think having all girls, they don't fight. We fought. We had real fights, and it wasn't just arguments. We put up them fists and we used to fight. But you better not say one word about Tawana or Tamara. You better not. let us find out you talk about either one of us, because we were always ready to fight, and we was ready. Every single one of us. We had light to fight.
I can attest. I can attest to that. I can definitely attest to that.
Mixed up in our mess too. Kendrick like been mixed up in
yeah,
our
it's like yeah.
And I've been mixed up in his, because if you was messing with my big
Yeah.
brother cousin, guess what?
she-
Not on my watch.
Yeah,
No.
she would be like the first one out there. I was like, I need you to fall back before you get us all killed.
What you doing out here? What you doing out here?
Right, exactly.
We grew up like that with Kendrick, like how Junie with Janelyn and Khalid, Charlito and them. That's how Kendrick was
Right.
us. Our resident big brother. Like we didn't have no brother, so it was like Kendrick, and then me and Kendra were the same age. We were, I think, Kendra and I are 4 months apart, so we were really, really close. Kendra was like the extra sister I didn't have, you know what I'm saying, that I had that I probably didn't want, but Kendra was just, you know what I'm saying? Come on, Kendra was the only girl in her household, so she was happy to be with us and all the girls because she didn't have that. So it's really funny how we having these conversations. You didn't realize how much our interactions helped us out on either sides, whether we didn't have a brother or somebody didn't have a sister, or we just filled those gaps and we didn't even realize we were doing it. So it's kind of I'm getting the feels listening to all the stories.
I want to add, the only thing that I want to add is how when we all were together during the summertime, there was really no cousins, because wherever we was, everybody ate, everybody played, everybody was all together. Whether we were in New York or Jersey or wherever, or if we were in Charleston, when we all were together, we were all siblings, because everybody was getting in trouble if somebody did something. Everybody was, you know what I'm saying? Like it was across the board. And I think everybody, even though Junie and Jenny and Randall, y'all younger, the same way y'all was with Simone and DJ and everything, it was the same with Martine and Tawana and Kendrick and everybody when we were together during the summers. And I can really say that I enjoyed, when we had our summers together, because it was like we were all siblings versus cousins.
I was just about to say the same thing. So, the northern cousins, we were raised like siblings. Like there was no distinction between, you kind of had an understanding of who was who. And for me, they technically wasn't my first cousins. These are my dad's first cousins.
Yeah.
But I was being raised like these were my first cousins. So, please, that they were siblings. They weren't cousins, they were siblings. And my grandmother made it her business to put that into perspective. Like, this is your family, da da da. I got a cousin who every Easter we looked alike, we dressed alike. It was annoying, but that's how they treated us. Like we were siblings. But no distinction.
I think that's the dynamic of our family as a whole, because just like technically Junie is my second cousin, but we act like first cousins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because our age, where Junie's dad is actually my first cousin, but the age gap make him feel more like an uncle. I don't really look at him like a cousin. I put him, it's like the uncle cousin. I don't know if that's a thing, like Uncle Dad.
Yeah.
Cousin. You know what I'm saying? And just like Pamela's our first cousin, but all her children are second, and we don't interact like that. We interact in a way that they are our first cousin.
And Tara and I think it's like 11 months and some days between us.
You would have never thought that, Junie, when we was younger. I thought I had 5 years on Junie.
Listen.
We get older, it's like, wait. Oh my God.
It's because I was the goody and y'all used to try to corral me in y'all mess. I remember specifically I was at Kendrick and them house, and both Tara and Kendra tried to get together to get me to find out how we gonna sneak to a party. I said, party? Whoa.
When you was a little boy, you was so bad. Junie,
no, you did that, Junie.
Y'all, please say hi. Y'all, I'm so sorry. Y'all, please say hi to Cassidy. And I did cut his hair, but it's not combed. So,
oh wow, Cass looked like a big boy with his hair short like that. What's going on, man?
Like it.
Yeah,
it looked good.
Get out that camera, Nog. We having grown people conversation.
Y'all know y'all trying to look exactly like y'all. All y'all.
Yes.
Y'all trying to look exactly like y'all.
So my kids call Kendrick uncle. So it's the same dynamic. Like Kendrick is their uncle. He's not their cousin. So it's just, I think that's another thing. We that's how we are.
I really want to dig deep into the oldest versus the middle child and I want to hear from the oldest, the middle. Well, we don't have to talk the resident cousins, but I really want to hear from because we're all the oldest. But I really want to hear from the middle child and the youngest. And Janelyn, you can definitely chime in here too. But I want to hear how it was for, is the middle child syndrome, like Martine said, is it a real thing? Tell us about the baby kids. The baby kids know they can act up now. Y'all them baby churn.
Oh yeah.
Them baby churn.
Look at Tara's face.
Them baby.
Oblivious to it.
Them baby churn, y'all. Them baby churn. So I want to hear.
And they're gonna beat that case too. They're gonna beat that case every time.
They gonna beat the case every time.
It's like.
So Ashley, if you want to go first, you can, and then we can go around.
Go wrong. Thank you, Ray.
How was it being the middle child? How was it growing up? Tell us about your experiences.
For me personally, I don't think I ever dealt with the middle child syndrome because Martine was so much older. So I just felt like the older sister compared to Ashea. So I don't think I had that problem. I felt like I was an older sibling.
So how was it growing up you have 3 sisters? How was it for you? Where did you fit? How did you find your MO when it came to being around your sisters? What was that experience?
I think I was lucky because I could run to Martine for certain things and we could have fun, and I could run to Shea for certain things and we would have fun. It was the perfect dynamic. I could not complain. We fought. Don't think it was the perfect siblings. We had our issues, and I had Ashea accusing me of things, and Martine would beat me and stuff like that. Because it says she used to be a parent, so I didn't look at her as a sister. I looked at her as a mother figure. But I think it was as a kid, I would say it was horrible. But now looking back at it, I'm it was perfect. I had an extra parent that I didn't really want, but I got, and it was a perfect dynamic to have someone to run to afterwards.
I got a question, Ashley. Do you think it was being the middle child and having somebody older than you that you can go to for certain things, somebody younger than you that you can go to for certain things, or even if you wanted to flex your little influence, being that you had somebody younger than you think that was easier or better, that you had more options as far as, who you could run to for certain things or who you can go to for certain things?
I think it was completely easier because certain situations that I would go through, of course, I couldn't tell Martine, so I could go tell Ashea. And then if I couldn't tell my parents, I would run to Martine first. And it always made me feel like I was in a safe space. I didn't have to worry about getting in trouble or anything like that.
I'm sorry, y'all. So, as I stated, the other cousin is on the other phone. Gotta show them who we talking to. Jalen is saying hello. Sorry, guys. So sorry. I was trying to, multitask. I wasn't listening there. I think Ashley said I gave her a beating. Is that what she said?
Yes, I did.
Yes. A beating was admitted.
You told Hoppo to beat me.
Did I give you a beating, Ashley?
Yes, you did. If I wasn't listening,
a beat down,
not
fight.
It was probably, I call it a beating. Maybe it was, you call it a fight. I say it was a beating because I don't look at it as a fight because I wasn't fighting back. I just let it happen.
Right. It's almost 10 years. That ain't no damn fight. That's abuse.
So let me tell you, they were you know the girls. They were, I think my parents went away or something like that. And they get a little froggy. You not my mother. You not my mother. You not my mother.
I know that's right, Martine. When Mama and them used to go to church, when Mama and them used to go to church and leave me in charge, Mama and them should have never told me I had permission to beat. Because I used to whoop that belt out. Don't tell me.
Disciplinarian.
What were you about to say about middle child syndrome? Because I really feel like you had it really bad for a long time.
Still do.
So being a middle child, Ashley, it's a little different for Ashley because she has such a large age group with Martine. But when you're literally in the middle of somebody and it's 5 years and you got three kids. I was kind of like, oh, she'll be all right. Like she'll be okay. She can do this. Tawana got it. She can do it. Oh, pass them clothes down. She ain't getting nothing new. You can wear that. Y'all can dress alike. Me and Tara dressed alike until I probably was 40. Oh, that's now. You know what I'm saying? I do it to the kids too, though. I love it, y'all. Just don't. I do it to Taylor and Casey all the time. But my mom dressed us alike. I feel like my mom didn't really worry about me. Like Tamara was gonna be okay. As a middle child, they say you have middle child syndrome, but the responsibility is now you got to take care of yourself. You know, it's not, I don't have to go to either one of them for advice because I see this one doing something bad. I see that one doing something bad. I see the reaction and I got to get away from that. So being a middle child, you got to kind of navigate your parents in a way, because one thing for certain, two things for sure. Parents have favorites, even though they say they don't. And we all know this as a parent, that even though you say you don't have favorites, there's things that you favor in your children. I know that mama favors Tara because she's her baby. That's her baby. And my daddy will call, that's his secretary. Oh, I call Tawana. I'm going to call Tawana. Let me call Tawana. You know, and so together
That's so
as a couple,
crazy. That's so crazy because
it's so not true.
Do everybody think that way? I just feel like different siblings deal with their parents differently.
I agree,
right?
100%.
Because Ashley, I would be the favorite, right? I would be considered the favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. And that to me is like, what?
But
it's like it's all based on perspective, and it's really based on your interaction with your parents. I know how to deal with my parents differently than they do, and the thing is, what defines you being the favorite? Is it the fact that because they will call me,
I'm not
Ashley
the favorite.
did this, Tawana did this. I didn't want the call, so how is that a favorite?
Let me just go ahead and correct that right now, because Tamara is my favorite and Tawana is definitely my daddy's favorite. Everybody loves
you. See that?
Everybody loves me because I'm the baby, so I don't feel left out in any way. But yeah, if my parents had to pick, which they will not ever admit to, but they definitely will go that way.
And why do you think, Tara? Why do you think they're the favorite? Why do you think Tawana's the? Why do you think Tawana's the?
I'm not the
Because she a
favorite.
hot mess.
Because she a hot mess, and they know she's a mess. I allow her to be a mess.
Well, yeah.
She's the first hot mess.
Let me tell y'all something. First of all, let me say this. I don't believe in favorites. I feel like, because I have two children, and I don't favor Chad over Chase, and I don't favor Chase over Chad. I feel like the strengths of the children. So my dad knows I'm really good with computers. I'm always sitting in front of a computer. I could do anything real quick on a computer, and he doesn't know how to. So he made me his automatic secretary to handle his business stuff, because he knows it's going to take him an hour and it'll take me 2 minutes. You understand what I'm saying? My mom's not business savvy. She's not good with computers. So all their paperwork and all the stuff like that, they're going to call me for. They're going to expect me to do. Like when my parents pass away, they're going to expect me to step up in that matriarch role, because
and that's what I'm
handled
saying. But how does that make you the favorite though?
That's not a favorite.
Why does that?
It's
added work. It's added work.
So let me interject a little bit here.
Daddy's there?
No, he left.
He left.
He just
left. I was about to tell you to ask him.
Bring him on.
He won't admit it anyway.
He's not gonna admit it.
He won't say it. Because if you ask me, let me tell you. If you ask me being the oldest, and technically, of course, I'm the oldest when it comes to my dad and my mom. You know, my oldest sisters from, a previous relationship my mom had. When it comes to the three of us, Ashley and Shaya had a different life. I always call me and the oldest the struggle kids. We the struggle kids because we had to pick them up and wait for y'all to get your accolades and get a better job and do this and do that. And we became just a lot more independent. These mofos, we had to clean up after them. Then when they got their accolades,
Ashley, y'all had a maid. We ain't had no
Yes, we
goddamn
did.
maid.
Okay, she said, yes, we did.
She's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
We ain't got no maid.
plus, they had, I'm coming from Grand Concourse stomping Tim's, and they had dogs in purses and shit. In purses and poodles. What? And I'm the favorite?
Right.
Oh.
I'm the one that got grounded.
Y'all got cars. They got cars.
They had
Y'all got cars.
phones.
Y'all got vehicles.
No, I didn't have a
I
phone.
graduated 50 million times, didn't get a car.
Martine, listen.
Brown Blanche got my phone. Don't do that. Mom and Daddy.
Okay, so
Whole another dynamic.
I was Brown Blanche's favorite though. I said y'all ain't.
She was Grand Blanche's favorite, but at the end of the day, when it came to the oldest, and I'm gonna let Tam talk about her middle child, and then the last kids talk about last kids. And Janelyn, you can jump in anytime, but as the oldest, we got the strictest rules. It's like we couldn't do shit. Nothing. I couldn't do nothing, and anything one of the reasons why I'm so smart is because I was like, okay, the only way for me to be able to go out is to make sure that I have good grades. Mama never had to worry about me with good grades. I remember being the only person on the honor roll at St. John's for one semester because I was like, I gotta keep my grades up because Mama not gonna let me do nothing if I don't have my grades up. One of the reasons why I started working is because Mama wouldn't let me go. No, we couldn't. Daddy always put it on Mama. But ask your Mama. So if I asked Mama to do something and I couldn't do it, I had to find a way out the house. I got in trouble so much as a teenager because my mom had me like shackled to her and church and all that good stuff. So for me, people may say, oh, you were rebellious or you were this. I wasn't that. I had to find a way to have like a real teenage life because Mama was so strict on me. She was so strict on me. She didn't let me do nothing.
I could definitely.
But when it came down to Tamara and Tara, they did what the hell they wanted to do. They had cell phones, they had cars.
To your perspective,
Yeah.
like I was in the middle and I couldn't do anything, but I stayed out of the way. Like I knew my mom. Like I feel like I know my mom a little bit better. Like I feel like I'm more of my mom's child a little bit because I cook and I take care of all the kids. Tawana kids, Tara kids. They already know. If somebody got all the kids, it's usually me. And so I feel like I know how to navigate my mom a little bit. Like you got to sweeten my mama up a little bit to get what you need. And Tawana was more like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what y'all can do. Y'all can say, I would just get in trouble. I'll just take the punishment. Tawana was very headstrong. She didn't know how to be diplomatic. And I think as a middle child, you learn how to be very diplomatic early. Because you see the oldest is messing up completely. So Tawana may feel like I had more leeway, but I just manipulated my situation a little differently than she did. And my mom, I mean, I had to take Tara to school. Tara was joined to me at the hip after I got my car. You can roll your eyes. I can see you, sis. I literally changed high school because they wanted her to have a better education. They didn't care about
they wanted all of
right.
us to have a better education.
No, they split us up because we used to get in fights. So because we used to get in fights at St. John's, one of the reasons why Daddy was like, okay, they can't go to the same school. So when the fighting and all that stuff started, Tamara left St. John. Tamara, you went to St. John for 1 year?
Years.
She went for 2.
Two.
She went for 2 years and then she went to another school because my mom and dad was like, we got to split them up. Because we ain't got time to be dealing with this. So yes, Tamara, you had to take Tara to school, but for the most part, you was slick, you was conniving, you used to tell on me, you used to snitch, so you had your own way.
I think you need to try to find positive verbs.
Hey, I went to go pee. I had to come back on that one.
She was a fucking snitch, y'all. She used to tell on me. Oh, to one of the
Y'all, so Tawana would put me in very, very, very ugly situations. My daddy would be like, well, I'm going to take your car if you don't tell me where Tawana is. So I'm going to give up my freedom for somebody that don't care. All that's going to be without no car. That don't even make sense. Do that make sense?
You got a point there.
Whatever.
I think my experience as the oldest being the boy is totally different from y'all. So I had a whole lot more leeway because even though I got in trouble more than they did, it was for different reasons. So I could, after I got to around, I think maybe 14, 15, I got my first job when I was around 14. So my dad would let me, kind of go out. For the first couple of years, 14, 15, you had to be home by like 11, 12. The thing with me is, I would kind of like, push the boundaries, and my dad's like a disciplinarian. But as the oldest, after you've used to kind of dealing with your parents in a certain way, you kind of like you said about Tawanas, like I'll take the L. I was cool for taking the L, especially if we had like a party that everybody's gonna be at, stuff like that, or something's going on. I was like, okay, well, man, I did a whole lot of stuff that probably set Kendra and Kelvin up to not have to make the same mistakes. I used to like sneak the car. Me and my friends be riding around. I remember one night we snuck the car out. And we had this in the bag phones, Rob. Bag phone. So my dad had a bag phone, so I had a phone in the car. So we going downtown or something. Mind you, we like 15, 16. So we ride. Like we're gonna meet some girls or something to hang out. And the phone rang. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. The phone rang. Everybody in the car looked at me like, I picked up that phone, and everybody in the car was in trouble at that point. But me being a headstrong oldest, you think that was the last time I did that shit? Absolutely not. So I think when you start kind of being more in charge and being more independent as an older child, you're willing to take those risks because I guess maybe in the back of the mind, your parents kind of need you to a certain extent. So they're not going to really you, even though they might threaten.
Dang, want to talk about slick? There you go.
I think you get tired too, Kendrick. You get tired. You just be like, whatever. Your hands is thrown up.
Yeah, it's like, whatever.
Like, okay, what's going to happen after this? What? Okay. It is.
I'll take that 2 week. Hey, look, I'll take that 2 week punishment, no phone.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You just standing on my head.
I'll take the bid.
Ask Tawana how she ended up living with Ellen, pushing her. Oh, I'll take the punishment.
I did push the envelope with living with Ellen, but I want to hear about Janelyn and Randall's and everybody else's experience. I don't want to take up the conversation.
Okay, so my oldest experience is nothing like y'all. Like
at all. At all.
Olden compared to y'all, I guess. It was not like that at all. I mean, I did have the responsibility of being the oldest, but like I said, I was the only girl. My dad put all the responsibility on me as being the only girl. So like I had to come home. I always had restrictions. The same like Tawana, like the way she grew up, like she always did something to try to get some freedom. That was me. Like I wasn't like the best student or anything like that. I mean, I was average, but I always try to be good or do things, just do things better to show daddy like, oh look, I'm being good. Like you could let me out today. That type of stuff. And I hated it. Like I had to come home. I had to call my dad every time I came home, like tell him like, hey daddy, I'm home from
I remember that
all the time. Meanwhile,
every single day after school,
around doing whatever they want. And then I was always covering for my brother. He'd be like, oh, my dad would ask me, so where's your brother? I'm like, oh, he's upstairs, or he's doing something. I always covered for my brothers. And that's what always got me in trouble, because I always covered for them. And then, and like for my dad, I always had to ask permission for everything. Like, daddy, can I go to this trip? I had to do a presentation, and like, it felt like I had to do a presentation. But basically, I hated doing that, like always asking him for everything, asking him for money for like a field trip. So as soon as I was able to work, I was like, I'm going to get my own money. I don't have to ask you for anything. I could do what I want. And then when I left for college, like I was going crazy when my freshman year in college, like just because I had that freedom. Like I was like, finally, like I was going crazy. I went going to party. I mean, throughout even in high school, like I was sneaking out the house. I was and I felt like mommy, like she didn't really raise us.
Anything. She didn't do anything. Didn't do anything, but Daddy literally obviously was the authoritarian of the group, and it wasn't even close. My mom was just there, but as far as being raised, any kind of authority came her way, she was just on the back end. So she got the news first. I'm gonna tell your father.
Yeah, and it was always like, go to daddy, or what did your dad say, or anything like that. Did you ask your dad? Like, she was more like, I don't know, what, go ask your dad. But on the other hand, she did, every time we did get in trouble, she did always defend us at the same time. So it was just weird, like the whole dynamic between us. And then like with Charlito, my parents will always focus on him since he was like the problem child. So although I did have responsibility, they did see me as like, all right, she has common sense. She could kind of handle herself. We just need to have restrictions on her. And those restrictions were so annoying. Like I said, freshman year, I was just going crazy in college, and I didn't know how to act, and I still didn't know how to act until like 25.
Same.
So who's the favorite? Who's the favorite out of y'all?
They're gonna say me.
I don't think we have any. What'd you say?
I said you guys would say me. After, when it was all said and done, at the end they said it was me.
Randall.
I will say Randall growing up, but as an adult, now that we're all adults, I would say I'm the favorite.
Yeah.
They will lean more towards me now, just because I'm the one that kind of has my eggs in my basket straightened out. And like Randall too, he is getting there as well. He is responsible, but actually no, like Daddy is an independent man. Like he just do what he want to do. It's just like it's mommy who, now that I'm an adult, I feel like I'm raising mommy now. It's just like kind of annoying.
Listen, that could be a whole nother episode. Yeah.
That's a cycle of life. Yeah, that's how it go.
Lord.
Like, oh my God.
Who raised y'all people?
Exactly how it go.
That's how it go. Evolution.
I'll be like, Mama, now you know you shouldn't have said that. You know you should. Nah, Mama, come on now. What? Really? Are you serious?
No, the person sorry for is Junie, because who gonna tackle Juanita though? Who?
Listen, that lady is a mess. I tell you, Christy like be taken aback sometimes. Me and her go head to head because that lady is stubborn, and she got more stubborn as time went on and loud. Would you please? Meanwhile, anybody who listens to the episode, it's like, oh well, he must have got it honest then.
Exactly. Yeah. So me growing, now that I'm an adult, it's a little different. Like my relationship growing up, my relationship with Daddy was just not there at all. Like I was just like, I do not like you. Just because like he has so many restrictions on me compared to my brother. And then I was always trying to act like my brothers. Like if I do what they did, I'm like, okay, they just did it, so I'm not gonna get punished. And if I did do it, I was still getting punished. So I was just so confused. It's like, what do you want from me?
Now,
face was all shot.
I'll say that
every time y'all say every time y'all say these things, you know I don't know that person. I don't know who you're talking about.
We don't know Gary like
we
that.
Don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, he the cool, laugh, quiet. We don't know that person. So it's just like
Terry, I remember when Gary used to take us to church with him. Man, we used to get candy. We used to get all kinds.
You know what the candy was in our house growing up? You know what the candy was in our house growing up? It was locked up in his room.
In the room, locked.
Damn near in a safe.
Yes.
It was locked up.
As well as the Wi-Fi router.
Yes.
The Wi-Fi router, the cookies, the sodas, the juices. We said anything fun in the house was locked up in that room.
Listen, I'm the fun control.
And as kind of like being able to have the eagle eye view of y'all's dynamic, like growing up with y'all, like I would come over and I would feel bad for y'all sometimes. I'd be like, damn, like I would try to like, you know, like Janelyn was saying, like I would try to take up for y'all sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all get out of here before, you know, the shit go down. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like Harriet Tubman trying to lead y'all niggas to freedom. You know? So
maximum security.
Let there be light. Let there be light.
For my high school, I couldn't go to my house to high school prom unless Junie said he can go.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah.
I could not have gone. Like, I don't know, did mommy contact you, Junie, or I contacted you saying like, yo, can you come? Or like, I don't even remember what it was.
I think you asked me. About it. Yeah.
He would not let me go to my prom unless Junie was like, yeah.
It was you and your mom together, I think. Y'all hit me up together, yeah, cause she knew that was the only way that was about to pop off.
And in the defense of dads, I mean, I don't have a daughter, but in defense of dads, when it comes to girls, because my dad kind of shut down, because I used to think that, well, Kendra gets a lot of, you know, if she needed money, my dad would give her money and stuff like that. And he kind of told me, it's like, look, man, she's a girl, and I can't have her out here lacking certain things or, you know, not having certain things because people want to use that against her. So I kind of look at it from a different mindset when it comes to girls, which I mean, it sounds sexist, but for dads, you want to protect your daughter's innocence for as long as you possibly can. So I think that's where the restrictions came in at.
Yeah, well,
but boys, you kind of put your boy out there, go ahead and do your thing, son. It's just it's a natural thing.
It also depends on the which kid it is, because
you kind of know what you're dealing with.
I didn't get that. I was the boy. Go ahead, let's go out. And Ashley and Shea got the kind of rigid. Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong. They got like the kind of the more strict dad.
Yeah,
and I got
the wasn't the same.
No, I got the sibling. He was like the sibling because he was a kid himself. So it was one of those things where he was trying to figure out what he needs to do, what his role is, because you already know Mama S set the tone anyway. She was the boss. She was the real boss. So the parental stuff really came from her and then my other grandmother, and they were kind of like figuring it out. And then I think once Ashley and Ashaya came, they got it. Like, that's why I say we the struggle kids. She alive? Okay, good. Yes, check. She breathing, she eating. And then those two, they got parents. Strict parents. Would you say he was strict though, Ashley?
Not like semi-strict, because
Yeah,
I was able to do stuff,
think he
but
knows how to be
I couldn't
strict.
do everything. Like the stuff that you was able to do, there were certain things that I'd be like, oh, I want to do that too.
Like
but
what?
we couldn't, like, just to go outside. Like going outside.
We didn't really go outside. We only went outside if we were with Kim and them. That's the only time we
go outside, period. It didn't even matter who was with. We could not go outside.
Because y'all didn't have that.
Outside.
Y'all didn't have that. I'm telling you, we only went outside if it was with Kim, Stephanie, and them. That was the only time.
That's what I was about to say now, because we used to stay outside on that stoop when we.
That's the only time. That's the only time. And first of all, you couldn't leave the stoop because you got Aunt Mabel in one window, you got Aunt Ann in the other window. Across the street is my grandmother, and they calling your name the entire time.
I was about to say that y'all up there, y'all live so close to each other, like legit close. Like you could throw a rock in somebody's window. You know what I'm saying? Like.
But look though, when we went to New York, that's when we loved coming to New York, because that's when we got to go outside. We could have run to that little corner store around the corner from our Mabel house.
Yeah.
Like we was like, oh, poison! Y'all was teaching us to dance. Like,
but I think it was because they were so occupied within themselves. They gave us some leeway, because without y'all, we wasn't going nowhere. We wasn't. Please, we was not outside. I'm telling you.
Mabel used to give us $5 when we came to New York for the summers. Mabel would give us $5 a day. We was able to go out and hang out on the stoop with y'all. It was a little bit more freedom than being down south, because even though we was in the country and we could play outside as much as we want, being in the city is totally different than being in the country.
Yeah.
But Tawana, don't forget now, most of the time we used to be outside because Byron used to kick us out the house. Before Byron, as soon as our Mabel would walk out the door to work, he'd be like, all right, gone outside.
Yeah.
He don't want to be bothered.
He did not want to be bothered with us. So he used to kick us outside. How we started being outside almost all day because Byron wanted no parts of us.
Yes. Zero.
Yes, and Byron
family in general, y'all. Do y'all think that, and I think this is across the board, so I want everybody to kind of chime in. Our family protects all the women. The women can't really do nothing, but all the boys, I'm glad we didn't have a brother in the house, because I'm sure I would have hated him. Because Kendra got to do a lot more than the rest of us.
Oh yeah, but remember, we got David is our Kendrick.
Right.
So David is the northern Kendrick.
Yep.
David can do everything.
Everything. And
doesn't matter.
On us, like,
and the rest was girls.
Right. You can't even do anything because they're like, oh well, y'all can't go. And it wasn't just Tawana or Tamara or Tara or Kendra. Or none of us could go.
None.
Tara and Kendra, they were stuck at the hip, so they should have been able to go in pairs other places.
No.
And they didn't let them go. So I feel like in our family, they give a lot of leeway to the boys, and all the girls, y'all go sit down somewhere and learn how to cook.
Yeah, well, I think that's cultural, though. I think that's cultural, and I think that's just something that's just passed on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think we had a different episode when we was talking about that, like they preparing me to cook for a man, and no, that's not happening. I think that's just cultural stuff that just gets passed along, and that's just how it is. But it's up to us to break that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's definitely the case.
I kind of touched on it earlier. I do think that it's also like generationally too, because if you put your mind in the perspective of how they were all raised, it was all the girls first, so all the girls collectively was the oldest, and then the three boys came. You know what I'm saying? So like they were collectively the youngest, so of course everybody's probably getting spoiled by the ones up top, and also by the parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so all the responsibilities did come to all the girls, because it's like, well, by the time, if you telling somebody to get it done, by the time you get past the 6 to get the shit done, if it ain't done yet, it ain't gonna get done. You know what I'm saying? So there was really probably no work left for them. So like that literally passed down from that generation to the next one, and it just keeps going.
That's true, Juni, because my mom was like the baby. So my mom was the baby, so she kind of took care of the three boys, and Uncle Herbert used to always have me laugh. He's like, your mama was mean. As far as, because I guess because she was so much younger than everybody else, they started moving to New York and stuff. So by the time, I guess Uncle Herbert and Uncle David and all them were coming up, she was like probably the oldest person in the house and still had the responsibility of her sisters before her. So yes.
Aunt Ann, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But the crazy part is, I feel like the women is so much stronger than the males. The males are really laid back.
Everybody's real laid back. Yeah.
They all the males are really laid back. The women are like, you would think they had no brothers. Wow. Yeah.
That's probably why the guys are so much laid back, because again, I grew up with all girls, and if anything popped up with me, I had Tawana, closest in age. I had Samantha. I'm like a grown man now, and if I have a conversation with Samantha and something popping up, like, who messed with you? Like, I'm adult now. You don't have to fight anybody for me. But that's how she was in high school. When I first got there, my first year of high school, I got to St. John's. Samantha was like, yeah, this is my cousin. If anybody fuck with her, it's going to be a problem. And she told this to like everybody, not just girls, everybody. And I was not bothered.
You'll say that, right?
Right.
What is it like for the baby kids? Let's hear from you guys, because we're running out of time. Baby kids.
That's Randall and Tara.
Let's start out with Randall. Yeah.
I'll go ahead. So, growing up in maximum security prison. It was pretty hard. It was pretty hard. Like my sister was saying, it was definitely rough for her being the only girl in there. That definitely, I mean, me and my brother always talk about it. We felt bad because she was so locked down. So I'm gonna have to co-sign her on that because it was terrible. And my brother, I'm not gonna speak too much on his behalf just because he's a middle child and his perspective is different. My brother was at some point, it felt like he was trying to be the oldest in the regard as what he can get away with. So my brother will always say, "Oh, the reason me and my sister could do so many things was because he failed at so many things." As far as his ass was always getting in trouble, always like my sister, he's a problem child. He always got yelled at, and my parents did focus on them. So I touched on it earlier with me. By the time I got to high school, like I said, my parents weren't really doing anything unless I was getting in trouble or if my grades weren't right or if the school was calling in. Other than that, I mean, I was just doing stuff on my own. Pretty much, like I said, I would say raising myself to an extent. Because unless you got your ass whooped, you wasn't really getting any attention. Like I said, my mother wasn't really doing any of the authority. But I will say this, as it was in the house, top to bottom, you know, all the fun stuff being locked up, my mother knew what was worth tweaking about. Or it got to a point where she knew, like, all right, this isn't gonna be a big deal. So a lot of times she had her back with a lot of things. A lot of news that went her way, that if my dad found out, I mean, it'd have been hell on earth for everybody in the house. It's just been a bad time to be around. So my mother would eat up a lot of stuff and she would hold that against her head, like, yeah, don't make me tell your father about this and about that. And she'll have her power towards our teen years when we really started acting a fool. I just think it was easier though on me personally because of how strict everything was. By the time anything got down to me, like it couldn't be any worse. I already knew whatever lockdown my sister had, whatever lockdown my brother got on top of my sister's lockdown, I knew where every little crack was in between both of those lockdowns where I could do my dirt, do whatever I gotta do, and usually get away with it. So I would stay in my own little bubble growing up. But I mean, I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it made it seem like, you know, oh, I was probably the favorite, or oh, I never got in trouble. No, I didn't get in trouble because I watched y'all get in trouble all day, every day. So I'm gonna be smarter than that. I'm not gonna do what y'all did. I'm gonna do it better. I'm gonna do it smarter. I'm gonna do it sneakier. And it was easier to watch y'all to mess up.
If we're gonna talk about sneaky, y'all three was super sneaky together.
But you hear the stories now as to why we, no matter what house, no matter what cousin we got dropped off at, all of us gonna get in trouble because of probably me, or my sister, or my brother. If Gary's kids visited y'all, somebody's getting their ass whooped, and it's probably all of us.
Yeah. And like, I loved it. Honestly, I loved it when we went down and all the cousins got together, because it was just like, oh my God, finally I have older cousins and the responsibilities not on me. And like, finally some attention could be on y'all. And if we all got in trouble, I won't be the one bearing that weight. Like, it'll go on the older cousins and not us. And like, I will feel like the middle child for once. And like, whew, I just felt so relieved when all of us got together. Or like when Junie came over, it's like, oh yes, finally someone older who could like free us or anything like that. But it was just a lot.
And as soon as I came over, I would always get the download of like what's going on in the background that I need to keep in the background. I remember I came upstairs one time, and this is when y'all's dad stopped coming upstairs, like for the most part, so y'all could like hide your shit up there. And it was like a gaping hole in the wall, and it was like, Daddy don't know about it, so like we just gotta, you know, keep it on the low. The hole been there for probably like half a damn year, and they ain't get in trouble for it yet. And I said, well, all right, well, I don't know nothing. One thing I ain't snitch on my cousins. Like,
yeah, we definitely didn't snitch on each other, for sure. And that's like, it was mainly the main problem. Like, we just always defending each other. Even though we did fight, we did have physical fights as well, but we always did always have each other back. And like, all right, if you go out this time, just make sure you come back at this time. I'll leave the door open for you, or just hit me up, or like, we definitely and we still
Yeah, I'm
continue.
gonna go out the window first. I'm gonna leave it unlocked for you.
Yeah.
Like we still continue to do that as an adult. We do continue to have each other's back, or like, but still, at some point, it's like, all right, you need to get your shit together. It's just like you're 30 now, so
Yeah, I would definitely say that we had each other's back. You know, we would, like y'all said, you have infighting, but I can remember getting home past the appointed hour and tapping on Kendra's window for her to open that door. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think it kind of builds character amongst you, and it kind of builds that bond. I think to a certain extent, I think my parents may have known some things that I was doing, but the way we kind of like always stuck up for each other, because we would sit down and my dad's asking questions, and nobody breaking. Like, okay, well, shit, I'm not saying nothing. And he always kind of like tease us about that. It's like, yeah, y'all never really, y'all never gonna tell on the next person. Kendra every now and then would, get you in trouble because she knew how to make enough noise, like leave me alone and stuff like that to get your ass in trouble. But other than that, it was one of those things where we always kind of held each other down. We still do that till this day, really. But I mean, especially when you're in the same household, as you go into different levels of growing up and stuff. So I think that's always cool. So I guess you kind of team up as a group. I get your parents really. So okay, how do we get away with as much stuff as possible individually without actually getting as much trouble as we could have if it wasn't all of us?
I think Ashley and Shea mostly have that experience. I can't say we have that experience. Ashley and Shea are probably looking after each other.
Right.
Doing things like sneaking out the house. I mean, shit, where we climbing down fire escape, like we couldn't do none of that stuff. So we don't have that type of experience.
Yeah, me neither, Martine. We wasn't sneaking out the house because we lived back dead in the bottom of Wamala. Okay, so it's no sneaking.
Y'all sneak out the camp hole or whatever, however you call them.
Hey, we used to have to do our stuff. Hey, look, we used to have to do our stuff when we went to work. Like, we like Kendra said, we started in the country. You can work at 15 years old. So I started working when I was 15 years old on the resort island, Kiowa. And when I started working at Kiowa, that was my way to get out the house because I couldn't go nowhere. Mama would, nope, you can't go. And if you go, you got to be home by 10 o'clock. You might as well damn go. So I didn't go. So whenever I wanted to do anything, I would put it on work, or I would schedule my rendezvous around work because that was my only way. And I know Tara, as a last child, can attest to, like, I remember one time I wanted to do something really bad. I couldn't do it because my mom was so strict on me, but Tara and Kendra could go to a party. So they went to the party and I was supposed to pick them up.
Can I finish?
So go ahead, last child. You can talk about your last.
Can I finish this story?
You can finish the last
child feelings. So
yes, you did.
First of all, let me clear up this party Tawana trying to make y'all think is a real party. This was an 8th grade party. We were in 8th grade. It was a bunch of 8th graders at Sister Pinckney house.
Yes, Marshall.
It's Sister Pinckney because that's a church. A fellow person that my family knew, so that's the only reason why we was able to go.
Right.
We got there, and honestly, it wasn't initially that Tawana was supposed to pick us up. She fandangled her way on our plans so she could do what she wanted to do. Because originally, I believe Maggie was supposed to come and get us, and then my mama was gonna come and get me from Maggie house. Mm-hmm. But I called Maggie and was like, "Well, Tawana said she gonna get us." And Kendra said, and of course, Maggie was hesitant because she knew Tawana.
Yes.
But she went ahead and said, okay. And Tawana did what Tawana did in Tawana fashion. Didn't show up, left us there by herself while she was out doing what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I digress.
Wow. See, I wasn't that type of big sister. No, that's crazy.
Tawana left them children for dead.
That's crazy, Tawana.
I ain't gonna get Tawana there.
You ain't even play your role, girl.
First of all, I did play my role. Second of all, y'all don't understand what it was like being Tawana growing up. Y'all
that's why I was gonna say I ain't gonna bash you like that because Tawana's a good. Both I have good older sisters. And being the youngest, I can truly say I had a good path to follow, whether it was not doing the bad things Tawana did, and or following along in my sisters when it came to, academics and being independent women and working. Because it was like, one, it was the pressures of being Tawana's little sister or Tamara's little sister, because Tawana always had good grades, so I had to keep my grades up. Tamara was a social person. She knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew her. So it's like I always felt the pressures of being the little sister, because you don't want to be the whack one. You don't want to be the one that's like, oh, you the sister too. And so you try to, it's like I always felt pressures of being cool or fitting in or making sure I stayed up there with my sisters because I wanted to be around them. So I think in that perspective, when you think about y'all always say we got it easy. In a way, we got it easy when it came to the parents, because most of the time they were tired and my mama and daddy were exhausted after Tawana. Okay. So by the time they got to me, it just like Randall said, it was like, don't die. Every time I be on, go say I want to go out and my mom would be like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I ain't never used to come home that time. She used to fuss for a little while. And I used to be right back out at Tangos on Thursday night going to poetry night when I wasn't supposed to be there. So
Tango.
and go, baby. And I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, but my parents really, at that point, they was like, okay, Tawana had good grades, Tara got good grades. She ain't bothering nobody. She's actually telling us where she wants to go. So they were a little more lenient on me, but I feel like my parents put a lot of pressure on me when it came to living up to the expectations of my two sisters. So it was like, I always had to go harder. I always had to do something. It was like, if I didn't, and not only did I feel like I failed my parents, I feel like I failed my sisters, because it's like they do. So I always felt pressure in that sense. But I always felt like it just made me a better person. Because other than that, I'm a very chill, laid back person, and I don't go hard like I should. I kind of like, it's okay. Tawana's the one that's like, no, get up, do it. And Tamara, you know what I'm saying? Tamara, Tawana, the go-getters. And I'm more like, oh, I'll just follow y'all. Y'all already did it. I'll just follow y'all. So I tend to have a follower mentality, which is not bad, because leaders got to have somebody followers got to have somebody to lead, and leaders got to have somebody to follow. But I feel like being the youngest child, it was easy to fall into that follow role and not take on a leader role. And so it's kind of like a crutch almost, because it's like, well, if all fails, I got my sisters. So it's a balance that you got to play with a lot as a younger child. People, like I said, people always think you got it so easy, but it's like, no, you don't want to be, you see on TV or you hear other things of, oh, this one's the president of this club and they do all these wonderful things. And then there's that younger sibling there that's just yet holding on. And you don't want to be that person. So
I'm glad you said that, Tara, because I'm glad you pointed out the fact that parents put this perspective out there. Parents put this overarching kind of, oh, well, such and such did it, so you got to do it like this, and she did it or whatever. So I think that's where the whole favorite thing comes into play, where they put this out there where you have to meet this certain quote. I remember, Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember with my accolade, I had gotten into a national committee or whatever. So I sent it and I said, oh, okay, I got into a national committee. And I remember Cher's response, and she's the baby. She was like, Martine, you're making it so difficult for me. Something like that. And I was like, oh, like, you don't think about all this stuff, but parents do this stuff unconsciously. And it is, I agree, it's not fair. I only have one son, so I can't say, oh, JC compared to somebody, but I see exactly where they put this into play, and it's like, ugh. Well, it could kind of cause some sibling rivalry too.
Well, let me tell you, that's why I'm sure with my sons. So Chase is the brainiac. He's like me. He'll sit in front of the computer. This motherfucker know how to scam like a goddamn pro. But I don't know where he got it from. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he got it from, but he is so good at scamming. He's like, Mom, so I put him in a day trading class, and he took the class for 5 days. He's like, Mom, I need a computer. I can't use that little BS computer that we got from school. I was like, well, you can get it for your birthday. His birthday's in May. He's turning 16. So he was like, Mom, you know I can scam and get a real good computer. I was like, no, because see, you won't get locked up if you scam and get a computer. So you can't do that. So Chase is the brainiac. He's very like the engineer, like computer program person. Chad on the other side is very athletic. He's very neat. He's very clean. He literally has me making my bed up every morning because before he leaves his room, his bed has to be made. And I was like, Chad, why are you so OCD? He was like, Mom, I can't do the clutter. So I love Chad for being who he is when it comes to being clean, being very, kind of, cut and polished. And Chase, I love him because of the brains that he has. So it's not like Chad is my favorite because of this or Chase is my favorite because of that, but I love them individually because of who they are. And I think with my parents, I feel like we just to kind of bring the conversation back to, full circle. I feel like with parents, I don't feel like now in some families there probably is favorites, but I feel like the strengths of your children, you kind of use that as a way to love them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I don't love them unconditionally, but it's like, okay, I know I can call Chase. Chase, you know how to do this thing on TikTok? You know how to do this thing on Instagram? Or Chad, can you please make sure that you're like, I kind of basically categorize them based on their strengths, not favorites. Because I don't put one child above the other. Now, I might be a little bit harder on Chase because he's super smart and he like to play dumb sometimes. So I may be hard on him because of that, but not because I favor Chad over Chase. So
yeah,
I agree with that. I feel
like it looks like that from I'm the auntie, of course, and I see what she's doing, and that's why when I'm there, I like to interject and be like, well, she just doing this because of this, or well, I'll give you the money. She'd be like, I'm not giving you no money. I'm like, here you go. Let me help you, because Tawana is trying to instill something in them, but she's so hard on poor little Chase. You know what I'm saying? I ain't paying for this. And I'm like, Tawana, you look like you're favoring Chad. Like it looks that way, even though it may not.
Yeah.
And I know that. And I'm sure she said I do the same thing with my daughter and son. And then that's another dynamic when it comes to boys and girls and what, they like to say women raise their daughters and they nurture their sons or whatever they like to say.
Right.
But I can see the difference now, and I'm trying, and they have like 5 years, and they like to say, stop saying he just 3. He is just 3. He's a baby. But they feel like I treat him so good, but I did the same thing with Casey. They forget that Casey was rotten. You know what I'm saying? When she was that age, she was horrible. But nobody said anything because she was a girl. Now that he a boy, they want to say he horrible. But that's the way parents do things,
But what makes him horrible? How can you be horrible at 3? What is he doing? Huh?
You got enough time for all that?
Oh.
He's just a boy.
He just rotten.
He's a boy.
Okay. Because I'm like, what does that mean? Okay.
Well, but Tamara dynamic. Tawana, in a sense, had it, and I wouldn't say easy, but it was a little easier with her having same-sex kids because she didn't have to switch it up. Tamara had to completely going from being a mom of a mom of a boy.
It is different.
And
yeah.
Tamara, whether she liked to say it or not, she was, of course, Casey was her first child. So of course, your first child, you do all those things that you do.
Tara, her first child at 30. And older parents spoil their kids in a special way. That's all I got to say.
Right.
Listen, because we got it.
They spoil them. Because you got it.
Yeah. So and then Tawana and Tamara look at me and they see how I do Taylor, and Taylor's the mama. I'm the child. Taylor take care of me. and do. Taylor's the mama. Taylor's the one that keeps us on a schedule and keeps us going, because baby, I would be lost. So you're right. The dynamic.
That's that last child syndrome.
Right. And
that's the shame.
Listen, God give you what you need, not what you want. Because God very responsible, mild-mannered, nurturing child. And I needed that in my life. I could not have been a successful mother if I had a child that wasn't like that. So I do think parents tune into what their children's strengths and weaknesses are, and they try to pull the strengths out more and aid them, parent the weakness out most of the time. And it does look like sometimes Tawana, it looks like it because Chad is the baby, and he just that's just her baby. That's her baby, and you know it. But I do see the responsibilities that she gives Chase now that he's getting older. I mean, Chase ain't a baby no more. So it's like things has to change. But us as adults, whether we adults, children, black, white, whoever we are, nobody likes change. We deal with, we adapt to change, but we really don't like it. But I think
at the end of the day, I also feel like our kids are a reflection of us anyway.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's like, when I look at Jason, I'm like, well, God, he'll say something. I'm like, well, Martine, that's what you say. You can't be mad. That's how that's how you act. So you can't be upset. So getting that reality check, in a sense, it does. It does. It definitely does.
And also, the sex has a big deal with it because dads and daughters are just naturally closer than dads and dads because your dad is kind of building you to be a man. And after becoming a man, I kind of realized I thought my dad was like super hard on me, but I understood. I think now as a man, if you're in your child's life like that, by the time they're around 15, 16, 17, and they're trying to get the hell away from you, you did your job. Because you should be.
What about the girl dad? So Uncle Herbert, my dad, they girl dads.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's a difference.
Girls who are a lot more, like, I'm considered the rugged one, the rough one out of all of the rest of them. The more aggressive one compared to everybody else. So what do they do with that energy when you just got girls? You don't have no boys.
See, and Daddy. But then you prepare your women. I mean, I think guys, when it comes down to the male psyche, when it comes down to girls, and I don't have a daughter, so I'm no expert on that. But you trying to keep your baby off all the poles you can keep her off for as long as possible. It's just simple. It is because you're a guy, so you grew up because you trying.
Hey Kendrick, your generation, I don't think that's the mindset. You think that's the mindset?
That's definitely the mindset.
Absolutely.
You don't want nobody. All of them.
That's the mindset. That's the mindset.
That's the mindset.
Mindset. He was always like, you can't do anything because if you go outside, you're gonna get pregnant. That's basically what his mindset.
Exactly. That's like a father's. That's crazy.
You know what's so
that's
crazy?
true.
My dad never made those statements. It was my mom. My dad never made those statements. He never. It was my mother. I would be outside. I'll be talking to a guy. Mind you, we not talking.
Not even in the same ballpark, mama.
We talking business, and she would be like, "You fast ass, you're gonna get pregnant, knocked up." I'm like,
my God.
Where does that come from?
If we could,
I just really think you don't want your.
Did Daddy ever tell you that? I don't
know.
Remember.
It was always
he wasn't
mommy.
that dad.
It was always mommy. I didn't have to worry about daddy.
And Tawana and Tamara can attest. My mom was so skittish. She didn't want to say words. She called it private parts. She still called it private parts. She never wants to talk about it. But daddy sat us down and said, let me tell you what them boys want. And they go
exactly.
He didn't sugarcoat.
I got it from mommy. And that was a nasty talk.
Daddy was the one who gave us the real sex talk. All three girls. And it was
awkward
at
first.
It was seriously awkward, but at this age, I respect my daddy to this day for doing that because if we had went on dad, baby, we would have been calling things private parts and things still.
Private parts and back. Hey, Tara, private parts and backside. Backside. That's ass.
Backside, yes.
Backside.
Hey.
It had to say backside.
Do you feel like religion played a role in that?
I think for my mom, it was a little bit of religion. And also my mom came up in a very strict household herself. Mm-hmm. Her mother was the strictest of the strictest of the strictest. So I think that's all she knew. She didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
And the reason why she was
That's true.
it was so strict for her because she had 9 brothers.
9.
Wow.
Oh wow, yeah, that's rough.
And she's like the baby. She the baby girl. She got an older sister, but she got a baby. She the baby girl, and she couldn't do nothing. She couldn't do nothing, and she basically brought that into her family dynamics. And our dad was like, "Okay, I love my wife, but I love my girls, and I need them to be prepared." Like I remember one time we was having a podcast, and we was saying how our parents protected us from things that we should have been prepared for.
I'll be 39 in April, and my mom and I were having a conversation. I don't know if I don't think you were on the phone, but Tamara was on the phone, and I was talking about something sexual. Mom was like, "I don't want to hear that. I'm 39 years old. I got 2 kids." Sis,
Exactly. Like I thought that was reality when you have kids.
Yeah. The cat's out of the bag at that point, literally.
You can't hide.
Not for Deborah Ann. No.
She's very uncomfortable. But I'm sure I could talk about.
Oh my God, Tamara, you'll be 39.
I'll be 39 in April. Yeah.
April what?
April 29th.
Wait, you and Ashley got the same birthday.
What?
Oh wow.
That's
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Okay.
So Ashley, you'll be 31.
Yeah, I'm 31.
Wow, y'all got the same birthday.
I had no
Oh
idea.
yeah. Okay. So wait. Junie, where you at? Cause I can't see everybody.
I'm right here.
When are we gonna do this family?
We need to do something because that's crazy.
We gotta get together, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know this stuff.
Let me
That's
tell you,
crazy.
one of my biggest fears is that we have kids and our kids start dating each other. So I really want us to be
Very likely.
Very likely.
Very likely.
Because wait. Let's do a test right now. Ashley pretty much doesn't really know everybody. You know Randall and them. Do you know Tawana and them really?
I heard her the names, so that's
Exactly. She don't know that Uncle Herbert is your dad. Like she don't know. They don't know the we really need to do something.
Yeah, you are
crazy. Tamara, I did not know y'all had the same damn birthday.
Me either.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
Oh, you was about to be 4?
Okay.
So younger, like
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
Judy, you're supposed to start a group me chat for us to go ahead and start planning this family reunion of cousins because now we have to take the torch, y'all, and we have to continue our family dynamics to whereas then, even though we have this podcast and our kids can press play anytime and find anything out, we still need to be together as camaraderie, like familiar with each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to have like a cabin trip or a cruise or something that we do where we get to do activities.
We will take over the whole damn boat. We going to
I think what we gotta do, honestly, I feel like it could be a Charleston-based thing because it's got to be at somebody's house because we tried this whole everybody pitching money to do something and get a place and that shit don't work out. It's got to be somebody.
It should be called Roots, and we should all meet on the land. Like we got enough land to do something on our roots.
Absolutely true.
I
like that.
live there, so y'all already got a place to stay. We got Michael land. We got a place to stay. I'm down here now, so people got a place to stay, and we should make that happen. I think we should call it
that's a good
Roots,
idea.
and that's our roots, and we do it. Whatever we need to do to make it happen and chip in and whatever. I'm pretty sure everybody like up north will be willing to chip in and do whatever. Make it happen. Everybody come down to their roots.
And
like a long weekend, a week, or whatever.
Uncle Troy and Aunt Patricia moving to Charleston, like now.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Roots.
That's another place that we have that everybody can come to. I think I remember. Sorry, y'all. I remember when like hey, stop. I remember 4th of July when everybody was able to come to, like most people came to the cookout. Like that really, y'all.
That was really nice.
I missed it. I had just went back for my birthday party. That's why I couldn't make that. Yeah. I think we should do it. We need to, people need to see who's who and who's what
and how we're all connected. Yeah, and how we're connected and like
how we related.
We literally need to post it board. Like I got post-its all over.
The family tree,
Yeah.
And we need to write. Okay, Buxom and Mog.
these people and these people. These children belong to these
Yeah.
children, and these people belong to these people. Like, we need to really understand our roots, like you said, and where we come from. So I feel like that would be a great way for us to end this call, because we've been on for almost, I mean, this is a great conversation. I'm not
It's
trying
so good.
to, it is good to kind
Yeah.
of hear everybody's perspective, but just for the sake of time, and you know, that hour killed me. Y'all know I'm always late.
Yeah.
So that hour is like, I'm still trying to catch up from that hour.
From last week.
Always gotta
Yeah, I was like,
It's 2023, Tawana.
thank you. You always gotta think
Fuck me up, y'all.
that
That
damn
hour fucked me all the
that
way up,
older
man.
sibling. That damn older
yeah, we should
Yeah.
we should do a part 2, because there's so much stuff to unpack with this, and you know, hopefully we can get more of the siblings on, because
Yeah.
I think this is a really good conversation to have, and I think it's, you know, I edit this stuff, so it's going to be very interesting to kind of look back over it after the conversation. But I think it's like this podcast itself is kind of a good, you know, foundation to start kind of putting things back on track.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
need to.
just the dynamics of the people on the call right now. I never met Martine. I knew you had sisters, to tell you the truth. So I know that's damn terrible.
I believe it.
I knew you had. I was like, she had sisters. Exactly. I thought it was just she was the only child. She was like sisters. I was like, really?
Yeah, right.
And that's yeah. So that's like real. That's sad. So we definitely need to keep pushing it.
Yeah.
I think they met Kendra.
Yeah, Kendra's like the diplomat of the family. She's like the person
Kelvin
that's social.
was always in Maryland, so they met him.
Oh yeah, we were driving. Yeah.
Well, Kendrick, if you keep still, maybe somebody could meet you.
Yeah. I gotta get this money. Get this money. I'm trying to move around now. I'm young, so I can sit still forever in those couple of years.
I know that's
Working on
right. I know that's right.
So done with him being over there.
I'm done with him being in New Mexico. I want you to come back to the land of the black people. I'm sorry.
When I come back, when I come back, y'all gonna be happy that I've been gone so long. You'll be like, oh, this nigga came back with came back, bringing some damn, you know, some things for the family. Exactly, this guy making things happen.
I know you kind of round everything out. Does anyone have any last words, or is there a question that you want to kind of round it off to where then we can go ahead and end this episode?
Okay, so one of the things is, as I've been able to be kind of like the fly on the wall to the conversation, one of the things that I really noted during the conversation was that as far as like the baby siblings, like the babies on the phone, it seems as if y'all have components of each of your older siblings, and they just kind of all blend into one another. Whether some of those components have been present in your younger years, like Randall, you used to be a little wild too, you know what I'm saying? But now you've got that more responsibility that Janelyn brings to the conversation. Like Tara, like you have that like that bubbly, that personality, you know what I'm saying? Like you're like, you got this thing where you get into it too, but you also have your own points of view that Tamara has too, you know what I'm saying? Like, because Tamara is very, she gonna say what she gonna say, you know what I'm saying? And Tawana is that girl who's like in the mix, you know what I'm saying? You got both of those components, and I think it is a direct result of parents kind of always imbuing a little bit of themselves into their kids, you know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing to see. And I think that the biggest takeaway from this was that the parents are our job as parents is to prepare our kids for the world, because by the time, like no lie, by the time 18 comes, the world is going to look at your kid as an adult, regardless of what you still got going on. So it's really a race against the clock to raise your kids in the best way. And when it comes to siblings, sometimes I think a really great note that we kind of saw throughout the conversation was you really gotta kind of help to elevate those strengths and really kind of parent out those things that could be perceived as a weakness, but make sure that you're always approaching it with love. And I think from the siblings perspective, kind of keep an eye out to make sure that those siblings are still a unit, because once you're dead and gone, they got to be here for one another. And so if anybody is struggling, or if anybody is needing to kind of make a pivot with the way that you parent, I hope that you guys got a lot of gems from this conversation, and you know, more love and more life to y'all's families, and more love and life to ours. So we'll see y'all season 2 done and dusted. Let's go.
Do not raggedy this hey cousin, okay?
This is the last one. On the count of 3, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3. Hey cousin. All right.
Let's do
1,
it.
2, 3. Hey cousin. Listen, that's pretty good.
That's the best one. That's the best one ever, actually.
Hot dog.
Making progress. Season 3 coming soon.